Southern Liberty County School Board regular meeting Tuesday, January the 13th, 2026, 5:30 come to order. Next, we're gonna have the prayer of pledge, read by Mr. Penny, pledge by Mr. Mason.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to be here today. Thank you, God, for a wonderful Christmas time and time, Lord, to spend with our families and friends, Lord. We pray right now, Lord, as we start the new year, Father, that we would again be diligent about the tasks that we have been called and selected to do. Pray, God, for your great wisdom beyond our imagination, Lord, that we need each and every day, Lord, to do the work that is before us, Lord. We pray, God, for your hand of protection upon our students and staff and parents, Father, and pray that you'd meet every need that we have, financially, emotionally, spiritually, God. Father, help us always to ever be mindful that you are good and sovereign and in control. So, Father, I pray that we would, Lord, be led with that in mind in anything and everything we do. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, two resolutions presentation, we didn't have any. Next item, three, public comment, we didn't have none. On item four, superintendent report, Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very quickly, very privileged to go to Governor DeSantis' last State of the State address as the session started today in Tallahassee. Usually starts in March, but this is the year that there's some years it starts in January. So this is the one of those. So in part of his speech, he continues to push for funding in rural counties. He really talked a lot about that. Up there with him was Senator Albritton and Speaker Perez. And so he did talk about wanting to push funding. And this is not a one and done thing with Rural Renaissance. Corey Simon introduced it last session, and it didn't pass the House. And of course, y'all remember they were squabbling, everybody, the governor, all of them. It's not a one and done funding thing. It is a mechanism in place, a lot like our FEFP funding, which also needs revamping, but something that would be in place for perpetuity to provide some funding for rural districts. The more urban districts down south understand it, but the House leadership, I didn't see them clapping when he talked about that today. So I hope it's not dead on arrival when it gets to the House. I'm sure I would be prepared for them to fight it again. I think over the summer that President Albritton's done a really good job trying to reach out to House members to try to get them on board. And we need the support from South Florida. So that's hopefully we'll get that passed. They will get it passed rather. Number two, Mr. Hayes, Katie Gunn and I participated in the Auditor General's Office exit conference. So each year they'll do an entry conference and an exit conference. They'll tell us what they're going to be looking for, what the size and scope of the audit, which they do every year. And then once they're complete, they'll come back in and say, here are our findings, or guess what, lack thereof. So I'm very proud of Katie. In my time and most of y'all's time as board members, y'all that have been a board member long like me, Boo and Doobie, we've went through finance directors, and there's that year that one leaves and one comes on, there's always usually some findings that kind of show up and everything. And Katie just absolutely done a great job through that. And they look everywhere. They camp out here. They're here about 10 months out of the year. We provide them office space, internet, phones and everything. And I was just very, very pleased. Me and Doobie both was very proud. So we high-fived her in my office after the auditors left. We're very, very blessed. And I think that is a wonderful accomplishment for her and her finance team. They did a really good job. If you hadn't received a copy, y'all should have got one. Did y'all get one yet in the email? You will. Look for the State Auditor General's Office, send it to you in email, and then they'll send you a hard copy. And that should be forthcoming probably in the next week or so. District Advisory Council meeting is Thursday, 9:30 in here. Always welcome to come. Love to have you. A lot of parents, a lot of kids get to come and voice their heart, and then some teachers. This one's a tough one, number 4. I'm very happy about our forest money. I shared that with y'all already. The payments for 24 and 25, which was in arrears, will be made simultaneously in a few weeks. It's 42 days after President Trump signs it. Those payments will be dispersed to the states. The 2026 payment will come a little later. Now, here's the thing, that will expire this September 26th for 27. So we got to get right back at it. So we had a Zoom call last week, and they're really trying to organize that coalition to really have some things in place so we don't kind of come to this kind of situation where you're 2 years behind. It's a really sad part about this, and this name may not mean a lot to you, but if you read some of that stuff, Doug LaMalfa, who was from California, he sponsored the bill in the House, and when they voted on it, Doug did probably 85% of the talking. Incredible knowledge of rural counties and rural forest counties. It was almost like he had been to Liberty County and you know, and obviously probably never been here, but he knew exactly. He said these school districts, they suffer when their you know, land is untaxed and they don't get that money. And I mean, it was just really wonderful. There are school districts that are in forest tracts that 100% of their funding comes from this pot of money. I put on here, but anyway, he fell over dead a couple weeks ago. Sad, very, very sad. Passed away suddenly. President Trump talked about him and really praised him. Very good man. Been on Zoom calls with him. I hate to lose him. It's really sad to lose him. But anyway, if anybody asks, this legislation passed unanimous. To get Democrats and Republicans on the same page on anything, they're on the same page with it. This is a nonpartisan issue. One of the things that Doug was working on was something called Fix Our Forests. And and you know what all these people want to do? Go back to logging. If we just get 25 to go back to the 25% rule, if we go back to doing that, we don't need the federal government to subsidize anything. We'll just make 25%. The county make 25% of the timber revenues, and for us, it'd probably $1.5 million to $2 million a year, just for us and for them. We can use it for general fund. They have to use it for, it's more restricted for them. I think roads and bridges is what they have to use it on in the county. So anyway, hey, prayers for Doug's family. I put number 5 here as kind of a tag for that. Neil Dunn announced he's not running for re-election today. Elections have consequences. I remember when President Obama said that, some people got their feathers ruffled, but he was absolutely correct. Elections have consequences. We need a strong advocate in Congress for our forest funding. So I want to encourage y'all. I don't know who's going to run in that spot, but we need somebody who is willing to fight for us on the next step of that. It may be way past our time, 10, 20 years down the road. We need somebody who's willing to get in there and fight for rural county forest money. That's got to be a given. Number 6, Guardian training, January 22nd, 23rd. We did part of that at the range, and the other part is up here on the simulator. I would like to invite you, if you're available, to come watch some of that training that the Guardians go through. I know Jason has before, and Jason's actually suited up, and so he understands some of the pressures that training. It's intense. It's very intensive training. So if you'd like to participate in it, let me know, and we'd like to have y'all to come out for some of that if you're available. And closer to the time, I can let you know what time where we'll be at part of the range and then partly here. Rural Days at the Capitol, obviously, with the session starting. It's January 21 and 22nd. We'll be up there probably one of those 2 days. Our appropriation request has a form number now. It's 3206. And that is the window hardening for $120,000. Appreciate Ricky, he's not here, but Ricky put that grant together and got the figures and the narrative to me. That's our only appropriation request this year, but the big chunk is over in historical money, and that money's already been approved, but the legislature still has to fund it. We were asking for $244,000 out of that. There were about 67 projects. The state recommended, the historical preservation made a recommendation to fund 55 of them. We were ranked 44 out of those 55. So I've got some people working on that. Patrick Bell's aware of both. I've sent him all the stuff, and they are all ready beginning that work, and so far, so good. It looks like we're gonna get both again, and that's a blessing. Small County Coalition, in concert with the legislature opening up, they have a legislative reception. They usually invite some of our legislators to come to that. That'll be at the Doubletree, which is the old Hilton in Tallahassee, January 20th at 5 p.m. if you have some time. This is Chris Doolan's group that we're part of. If you'd like to be a part of that, let me know, and I'll meet you there. We'll drive together. Tracks work's going on. I don't know if you've been by the track, but it's all broke up, and they're working on that feverishly. George said they'd wrap theirs up. The rain can't mess them up, but once they get around the rain, they said they needed about a week, and they'll get their thing, and then the guy will come in and lay the rubber. And then bleachers, Kevin told me February 10th, that was the time for that. And so Kevin and I looked at the softball schedule. There's a home game on February 17th and February 19th, but the next one is not till March 19th. So he had already discussed with Jennifer, may not make it for those first two games. We're going to try to utilize our construction class, welding class, to come over there and help do some of the work over there, and they can get some hours in and some good valuable stuff, because it'll be a kit to put together. Georgia Pacific, I shared this with Kevin as well. There was a fire there a couple months ago, maybe October, November, I can't remember which month, and it caused very minor disruption at the school. We did a lockdown because we weren't sure there was any. First call I got was there was some kind of maybe some toxic fumes from the fire. It wasn't that. I've talked with them over and over. None of that ever happened. But anyway, we shut the school down. We cut off all the outside air, called Kevin, and so we got Brian to cut off all the air just to make sure we didn't have any outside air coming in. So we did what we was supposed to in case there was some kind of toxic fumes. But they called me and said, we feel really bad about that it messed your school up. And I said, no, we all good. And they said, we want to make up for it. And I said, okay, what you want to do? So they're going to pressure wash the gym. They're going to hire a group to come in probably during spring break and pressure wash the gym and the roof and the sides. They said that wasn't enough, so I told them, I said, well, we need to repaint the dugouts around the baseball and softball field. Kevin got some paint quotes for that. I've sent that to them. And then they said, that's not enough. And so they're going to provide some meals for Teacher Appreciation Week in May. So they've been very kind. So if you talk to anybody from Georgia Pacific, they got a lot of employees for Liberty County. Just be sure y'all thank them. That was above and beyond what it was very kind, very, very, very sweet. I've got some updates. I've been working on the strategic plan. Again, these are things that I want to share with y'all. I'm not going to just throw it out there and say, pass this. These are things I want to discuss with y'all individually. And obviously we can discuss it corporately at one of the meetings. So I thought about sending those out maybe later this month, and then we can start talking, and then we can tweak it a little bit, and then maybe give y'all a draft at the February meeting and let you look at it, and then maybe pass that at the March meeting. So that's a strategic plan. And it has been updated. There's a lot of updates, which is a good thing. We've accomplished a lot of things on there. No updates on our healthcare with Fleet. We do have one more year before we have to do renewals. I want to thank Jody. I put that on there. She's helped me with probably the last few RFPs that we've done. And she's always said, put you a little option there. We're going to hamstring you to do some renewals. So I want to thank her for her expertise, because this is stuff that she's done in the past, past spots of employment. So yes, we do have one, and I think I'd already told her that, but we do have one more year of before renewal. So yes, ma'am.
We're gonna negotiate. I mean, we can negotiate
Yes.
with them, so are we gonna try to?
100%. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I whatever I'm hearing with insurance is going up.
Everything, I know. It's
Maybe.
the thorn, not a thorn. It is the thorn in my side, and in all of us. It's just, I don't know. Couple of just date things there. Senior night, always a special night for our girls and boys at the high school. That'll be January 22nd next week, and then we don't have any school for next Monday for Martin Luther King holiday. All right. Any questions? All right, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Moving on to item number 5, addition correction to the agenda. Need a motion, for addition correction to consent item A, B, and C. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Jody, second, Mr. Stevens, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item B, need a motion to, add emergency item 10A and 10B. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Secretary, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Keever, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C's been deleted. Moving on to item 6, need a motion to approve agenda for January 13, 2006. Have a motion? Oh, okay. Back up to item C, need a motion to, delete emergency item 10B. Have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. McJody, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Keever, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, now moving on to item 6, need a motion to approve agenda for January 13, 2026. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 7. Item A, we need a motion to approve December 9th, 2025 workshop meeting minutes. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Caber, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Secretary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, item B. Need a motion to approve December 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Jody, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Caber, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 8, consent items. Item 8, need a motion to approve the following December 2025 financial report and transactions. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, by Mr. Singletary, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, item B, need a motion to approve January 2026 personnel consent table with additions and corrections. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Cooper, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Secretary, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item C, need a motion to approve January 2026 update sublist with additions and corrections. Motion?
Motion.
Motion, Ms. Cooper, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, item D, need a motion to approve revised salary schedule for the 25-26 fiscal year. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Moore, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Keever, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Moving on, item 9, action item, item 8, need a motion to approve Florida State School K-9 program, Florida Department of Education, project award notification. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Jody, second, Mr. Keever, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, item B, need a motion to approve early childhood music education incentive program, Florida Department of Education, project award notification. Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Keever, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Moore. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, item C. Need a motion to approve urgent condition status for the Liberty County School District to add and hiring instructional personnel doing and for the remainder of the 25-26 school year as needed per Florida statute 1012.4. Motion?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Secretary, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jody, any discussion?
Do we have any in the pipeline that we know of, that you feel that you
Yes.
listen,
So we have one person that should be getting their diploma in March. We'd like to, we have advertised since October for a kindergarten position and not been able to get a certified teacher. So if y'all remember, we've done this condition 2 previous years, but we didn't start this year because we were able to get certified teachers. I want this thing to sunset every year because it can be abused, you know? We want certified teachers. That's our #1 goal is to get, but when you can't, you try to get the next thing. Somebody's got at least a bachelor's degree, somebody who could possibly get certification, a temporary certificate in something. So we do have a person who's already working at a school and they're just about to finish up the elementary studies. And we're gonna go ahead and start them in with Miss Danielle, and then they will when they get their credentials, then we can we can put them in as a teacher. But this is a person that we've got identified.
Yeah, I mean, I got that email, I mean,
Mhm.
what I guess I should have rephrased that. Do we have anybody else that we know of in the pipeline for this? If that doesn't pan
We've
out. I mean, you
recommended,
said October, we've had it out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we haven't had anybody, I
Well,
mean, I know we've used this a couple times, I just.
we know of 3 or 4 people locally that are in the process, they're going to school to be teachers.
yeah,
But they have to finish up their practicum, their internships and things like that before we can, but so we've got our eye on few prospects.
We have one
They're working their way through.
yeah, we have one teacher who is doing an internship now. And the state allows us to pay them a teacher salary while they're interning. And then we have one who will do an internship in the fall.
Right.
And so we'll hire them probably in a math position. They're a wonderful math major, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, we can do that now. But right now, no others in the pipe.
And superintendent's gonna really, I mean, when we do this, there's networking and reaching out, different things. We've had some, which we respect, and said, we've heard that they've been looking and they say, I would come, but I don't want to come in the middle of the year, which we respect immensely.
Don't like hearing that, but.
Yeah, but we've had some out there too that I think, kind of the natural time to transition is the summer for a lot of teachers. So, but superintendent's already laid the groundwork for several of those too, if we need to reconnect with them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, I mean, we've used this a lot.
We have.
But
But again, I want it to sunset, that way that our focus in come summertime, certified.
Let me say this too, those that we have hired under that, all of them,
Yeah,
to my recollection, have done what they needed to become a temporarily certified
Right.
teacher.
correct.
So we do make sure that they follow through with those steps, and I work with them on what they need to do, it's just in that interim. That we can get them in, and then we work with them towards certification, and we've had a few hired like that, and now they're certified teachers. So,
And working for us.
yeah.
Yeah, we've done some of that in law school too.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So if I understand this correctly, this is an individual that has basically a semester left to be able to get their degree that we're looking at hiring, correct? Now, does
Not
that,
quite a semester,
not, I mean, it's,
Couple of months.
about 2 months.
okay. So is that an individual can have an associate's and almost a bachelor's, or does this person already have a bachelor's in another field and they're getting a bachelor's in it? How's that? work?
Okay, so that's a good question. So military people can get in with, they could actually get with an associate's.
It's a special type of certificate.
Special type of certificate where if they have an associate's, you can actually hire them as teachers. This one here in particular will have their bachelor's, they're doing an online thing, that's why it's a little funky on the dates.
Yeah, that's why.
And so this person, specifically this situation, is being brought in as a paraprofessional right
Correct.
now until they finish their degree.
Correct,
But they're gonna be, Miss Summers will still be in the classroom some of the day and transition with some of that time. So it isn't just like,
It's a different type of supervision is what you're telling me, to do
Correct.
something like this.
correct. And until they get their degree, that was what the provision would allow at that point to be able to hire them in an instructional position. But right now, they're just being brought in as paraprofessional.
which is what they're doing, they're working at a school in Tallahassee. We'll bring them in as a parapro, when they get their bachelor's degree, we'll go ahead and make that change to put them in that teacher thing,
Mhm.
that teacher role. But right now, Danielle will still oversee, she'll be the teacher of record, she'll still be in there a lot. This will be her transition time, and then come March, when she gets her bachelor's, then she'll move forward.
What's the anticipated start date for this individual?
Nation came first.
The recommendation,
Is it on consent?
let me see if it's on, sorry, we've been,
Yeah, 23rd, I believe, 23rd, 22nd.
22nd,
It's
yeah.
really like a month and a half, something like that.
Correct.
We would, month and a half, it'll be a different topic.
As a para. As a parapro.
So do we anticipate this circumstance, this extenuating circumstance, moving over to other teaching positions? I know that with the personnel consent tables people taking leaves, things like that. I know there's a lot that's up in the air right now from the break.
I think right now, so there's a couple of other vacancies, there was a total of 3, I think, that happened over the break. But those other 2, we do have, we think, some certified individuals that we would be able to put in there now. We have to look at that and see, but then there's another one that I know there was a leave of absence. We would have to look at that too and advertise and see. You never know.
So in other words, we don't know right now. You might advertise for these different types of positions and many people may say, yeah, there's interest for it. It might stay vacant for a while and then we might have to seek other options. It's basically.
Well, that's what happened in the hospital. I mean, that's been posted.
We can't, so in some positions, you can't leave vacant. For example, kindergarten, we gotta have a kindergarten teacher. So, you know, in the past, Jesse has gone in and told her last year.
Yeah.
This year, Miss Danielle went in, so we can't, and been in there since October.
Yeah.
So, you know, we always find somebody and the positions Jeff's talking about, we've already identified some subs who do have teaching credentials, certificates, who have been filling in anyway in some other spots, some long-term subbing, but they are certified teachers. And one in particular is ESE, so that's that'll fill in a big gap for us at the high school. So, we've got some people coming out of retirement who want to keep working and they can't come back to work till February, so.
It's always better. It's tough in the middle of the year, anytime during the year. The summer and kind of leading into summer is always the best time to fill vacancies. I know I can think of 2 off the top of my head that have said, love to come, just not right now. You know, I'll get back with you guys in the summer. They want to finish the year where they're at, which again, I respect that. They're there with their students. They don't want to leave where they're at that point. So.
Well, this way right here, it comes proactively putting somebody in there is. They're not certified, but they're proactively getting there with children. They're already getting there. By the time they do, they've already, built whatever. And so it's a little better transition than, oh, here's Kyle, he's in kindergarten. So
We want this one to be acclimated to that class, to those children, to that modeled instruction by Miss Danielle, who's a champion teacher. And then once she gets her bachelor's degree in March, then there'll be, and of course that Danielle's not gonna say, okay, see you later. You know, she's not gonna just abandon her. There'll be a transition for her to start pulling out a little bit.
At this given time, I know that there's certain information known, I hope exit interviews, things of that nature are conducted when people leave, like employees leave. Has there been anything that's been identified that the board could do, policy, procedure, compensation, bigger picture that's within our means that can help retain or attract people that y'all have noticed at this time?
I'm gonna tell you, health insurance, which we touched on, as a, for state positions or positions in which they can get, lower health insurance.
If they go, okay, so that's a great question. If they go and take a job with Florida Virtual or, some kind of, the camp where they have what's the academy it's called? Scholars.
It's part of Florida Virtual, so it's the same.
That, the actual pay is not that much more than what we're paying, if at all, but it is 12 months job for a teacher. So it is a 20% raise right there off the bat because they're going to work 12 months instead of a 10-month position. Second thing, that insurance. That's a big deal. If they can get on state insurance, whatever that is, I mean, you can't, we can't compete with it. There's no way. So that's, for somebody, look, a lot of it comes down to money, and I get it,
And we're still, there was an update on the health insurance, so we're still pushing, doing our part to do what we can to lower health insurance costs, or at least maintain, hopefully lower health insurance costs. So that is a focus that we have right now.
The big thing we've got to manage is, if it is cheaper, then thank good Lord for that, but is it gonna cost more per visit, per is the deductible higher, all those things? That was communicated, and I gave you all those surveys, I believe, last month.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, but I really like CHP. I hate the price, but I really like CHP.
But it seems like they get the same benefits.
Right, so it's gotta be apples and apples.
Yeah.
Or pretty close to it to justify if we're gonna do lower rates, because You know, you can start looking, well, if I make a couple trips to the ER or something like that, then I didn't save any money. Actually, this cost me more money, and we don't want to put employees in that kind of position either.
Yeah.
CHP is great insurance for the most part. I don't hear a lot of people say, I hate it. You always gonna find somebody that's disgruntled with it, or, you know, it's not for them, but, our surveys overwhelmingly, they like CHP, it's just high, you know.
Has there been any direct communication with school districts pertaining to salary pay increases that's beginning to be discussed in the rural renaissance and legislature, like Senator Simon, for example? Has anything been, the reason I ask is I know that the Sheriff's Association banded together, right? I guess that's the right term. All the sheriffs within the state banded together, and they lobbied, and they were able to make something happen as far as wage increases for the sheriff's offices around the state. Has there been any uniting of school districts in the state to try to help with something of that?
Well, that's what spurred TISA. So before, you know, the 45, the governor said today, I have not fact checked him on this, but he said Florida has the highest starting salary in the country at 45. Is it 45? So,
That's ours.
47.5.
47.5. Sorry. 47.5. That was a figure. I've not fact checked him on that, but that's what he said today. But
Well,
10
no,
years
it's
ago,
$50.
10 years ago, it was below that for a starting salary, even, you know, statewide. What he's trying to do is get everybody to that 47.5. So yeah, there's been a huge push. That's what TISA was the impetus behind that, was to get everybody to a minimum starting salary.
Understood, but there's nothing right now proactively in legislature that is gonna be planned to be discussed outside of that. Well, TISA's gradually dropped like every year for the last 5
Then
years.
you're left,
What's that?
then you're left paying for it.
Right. Right.
The state's notorious for putting things in place
You
and
get
then
an
backing up.
increase, TISA pulls back, and then the burden's on the county that receives 6% of its revenues from the county and 94% from the state.
Correct.
So I realize we can have a problem.
Now, what they have done, they funded, so every time we've made an increase, they've sent us enough money to keep that going. But the actual new monies, that maybe what you're talking about, some of the new money is where they keep going. So what they'll do is promote and say, oh, we're putting out, you know, all these millions of dollars in education, and they are, but it's just to sustain these dollars that were already given. They're not giving a whole lot on top of that.
Right.
You know.
I think I remember a $250,000 figure, and then close to 100, and then
Right.
80, and then 40, right? If we had been a quarter from the state each year the last 4 years, I mean, we might very well have a $50,000 start pay and have gap separation. So what do we need to do to help with lobbying efforts when legislature is going on and try to help that process, right? It seems like if it sounded more along the lines, and maybe I'm completely wrong, and this ain't on record for being accurate. It sounded more along the lines of the rural sheriff's offices received maybe more help, right? Because there was a more budget funding deficit than the larger counties, right? So in this rural renaissance or rural areas, has there ever been a push or a direction specifically for the rural counties to try to help with the pay gaps?
That's what this is.
That's the,
TISA's
Right.
on the rural counties?
No, TISA's statewide, but the rural renaissance is something to give us a shot in the arm to do exactly what you're talking about. Where we don't have the property tax revenue to pull from, and now, you know, they're even talking about eliminating property tax. So I don't even know what that's going to look like, but those pots of money, if they come in here, and for us, some of the early estimates might be $300,000 or $400,000 a year. And guess what? You got some wiggle room now with salaries,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and your district.
With Mr. Bell pertaining to lobbying efforts and things of that nature, have we specifically asked him to help us, specifically associated with rural counties, rural districts, to help with that funding and maybe see if there could be some type of, even small county coalitions, push the funding more so?
Well, he does, so he represents most of your rural counties,
Right.
Calhoun, I think, Taylor just signed him, and Jefferson,
Mhm.
and they called me and asked me, and I said, yes. Said, look on all those forms, because
Yeah.
believe it or not, about 3 districts called me and says, how'd you get that track money? And I said, well, look on your form, and it says, who is your lobbyist, who's your lobbyist? And so, yeah, all of them are beneficiaries of rural renaissance. It's from about north of Ocala. And there's some south of Ocala, obviously, but yeah, that push is being pushed, and him and he's very close to Corey Simon's office. So he's pushing for all that, because everybody wins in that he represents.
It seems like it's a bigger sweep of revenues, not just a person's pay. It's a bigger sweep to help an increase in revenues coming in the entire county and
Right.
districts, not just so is there anything else that's been identified, say this year, as far as the exiting and entering of personnel that's been identified that might be something that we can help as a board?
No,
So compensation, health insurance, decreased costs, increased pay, that's the biggest thing we're looking at from everything. Okay,
found something better somewhere else,
understood.
Well, you're gonna have those that are.
Yeah.
But I don't wanna drive 55 miles, don't know if you can, drive about 3/4, but we have,
That's
those that do that. But we got.
That's another, we talk about just housing and these young people in.
Housing is big. I'll tell you, there's no place to live here.
hard to attract
Can't,
teachers from Tallahassee, from the university. I mean, we got 3 universities, basically, TCC, FAMU, Florida State, and I'm sure they got some ancillary things. I think Flagler's no longer there.
No, they're not. TSC, they got their bachelor program now.
I mean, we've got a Chipotle, you got these things that are generating teachers, but we're,
They're being.
so like Chipotle, when they graduate their teachers, I'm there. And I'm there with envelopes with their names on it, dear so-and-so, I get all the graduate names ahead of time. I got all our job opens, and it's, in the spring, and I sit there and go, come work for us, come work for us, but if it's somebody who's not from the Jackson County area, of course, Jackson County needs schools. Teachers rather,
We
but
tried to-
somebody out, it's hard to get them down here.
Well, and they have to do internships too, so typically, wherever a teacher does an internship, that's where they're gonna wanna go. So we've tried to get interns and host interns, so they can get used to us. Most people, when we get them in as interns, they love it. So they wanna stay on, be hired here. So some of that, if you're seeing, well, I haven't seen recent, but those teacher preparatory programs have all gone in enrollment too. So, our superintendent's talking, he may be at Chipola, there may be 8 districts there, and there may be 20 new teachers.
Right.
So everybody's blood in the water, everybody's
They're all
everything.
living close to home.
So,
Thank you all.
Any more questions, Mark? Any motion?
So the motion second, I'm in favor.
All in favor, say aye. Any discussion? Motion carries. Moving on to item 10, emergency item 8, need a motion to approve updated 2025-26 supplement list. Have a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Moore, second.
Second.
Second, Steve, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, motion carries. Need a motion to delete item, B. Need a motion.
Motion.
Second, Mr. Moore, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Keever, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, motion carried. Next, school board members, Mr. Keever.
Yes, sir. First off, Kyle, again, congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah.
That's exciting time. Very young, it's exciting. I'm a long way away from that, but that is exciting. Congratulations on that. Katie, great job and thank you on the financial side. I know personally it's a big deal going through those audits. It's a lot of stress. Please convey our gratitude to your staff as well. Thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate the budget information too that you're providing so sincerely. I appreciate that. Thank you for what you do. I have a request. The Toller baseball team has asked the board to renew our sponsorship with them. It's $125 renewal for the board. Jason said he would cover $121. I think each of us have what, $1 a piece.
That's a good deal.
What's the thing about it?
Dave, if you can't cover it all.
So the boards, if y'all are on board with that, I appreciate it for the total baseball team. They're doing some fundraising like they normally do. So if y'all see Mr. May and hit her love, that's 25 apiece, I appreciate it.
What does
We'll
it
be
do?
right out. Now-ish, when you're ready, $5, look, Jason's got 5.
On camera.
25.
On camera.
Thank you for that, I appreciate it.
Renee.
That's, I did my math right.
Yeah, you did.
You're paying too, right?
Yeah, I am. I appreciate the update on softball bleachers. That's exciting. It's gonna be exciting to see that get done. Thank you. Question, where are we at with I know Katie, there's always a lot on you. Where are we at with the credit union and accounts? Have we done a test account with the credit union just yet?
We have not, we'll meet with them probably next 2 or 3 weeks, get them to come in and we'll probably have something for the February meeting.
I don't wanna come in second place on this one, if you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't think they want us to. either.
Missed the presentation on the board meeting last month because I was out of town for training, so I did not get to hear, Thomas's presentation, so I really want to talk to him, meet Kyle. And
we'll get
ask my
them to
questions
come in
about
and
it.
talk with us.
Yeah, so
For sure.
sooner, obviously I'm just 1 of 5. I don't know if there was an official motion made, but I'm 100% on board with starting that training.
Yeah, we'll probably have something for the February meeting to approve.
Okay.
Department account.
That'll be perfect. Yeah, that's right. As far as, I know this has been looked at and maybe still up in the air, I would absolutely like to continue to address, finding a grant writing position to look at those one-off grants that we're not addressing. 100%, I would love to do that. And again, to reiterate, I would love to see it paid for by the grant itself, not from funds coming from the county. Now, obviously, if there's a one-off, that there's a cost share or something like that where we need to put in, you know, we can determine, do we have the funds? Should we do that? Would it bring maximum benefit? But as far as the pay, again, I believe there are things out there that are outside of per se the expertise of certain individuals that are outside of like engineering or architecture or something like that. And it would be a benefit to get these people contracted, right, to be able to write grants for us and be paid for by said grants. I would really appreciate it if we could look at that. Board, are y'all on board with?
Did you follow up with Heather? Cause I know you sent me that
Yeah,
sample RSP and
There's
then,
some critiquing that would need to be made to the contract to hit the idea of what we're looking at, where it's procuring of say engineer that would be writing grants that will pertain to engineering services, but the grant writing that will be paid for by said grant 100%, right? So it sounded like there was some critiquing of contractual documents to do that before we would advertise. But I think it's just looking at it and deciding how we want it worded. You know, if administration wouldn't mind looking at that and kind of.
well, I hadn't talked to Heather. Is Heather on? Miss Heather,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing good. Did you catch that, what Mr. Key was talking about, that RFP for engineering type stuff?
Yes, I do have that. And as he was saying, I looked at it and it looks like, I mean, I guess I just still need a little bit more information from you guys to better understand what your premise is or what you're going for. Because I think, at least initially, I thought from the discussion that we were looking more for someone who was truly just focused on the grant writing versus somebody who is also going to then provide a service related to the actual construction project or whatever it might be, whether that's engineering and things like that. I just wanted a better handle on what exactly, because I think what I was sent as kind of an example or draft was more had those things kind of melded together. And I didn't think that was what you guys wanted, but I just needed clarification. And if it is, we can go from there.
So my thought, if I heard everything correctly, so the dynamic would be, how do we advertise? Is this advertised as an engineer, project manager, grant writer, where they would write the grant, they would design, oversee certain things, whether it's a road or an awning or a covering or a shelter or whatever it may be pertaining to something structurally designed, right? They would provide all the services required that would make that possible, right? And it would be paid for within that grant, if you follow me. So for example, FDOT, this is just because this is in my wheelhouse, right? Say FDOT, they have districts that are broken up in the state of Florida. Say we're in District 3, right? They will allow counties to procure a designer, right, for said roads, and then they will have a county procure for a person to complete construction, engineering, and inspection, right? So they would all be paid for those services will be paid for by the grant. There'll be somebody to design it, there'll be somebody a contractor that would build it, and then there'd be an engineer that said, okay, you meet the specifications of this design and this build, we're gonna check off on it. And there are funds that would pay for all of those services within that grant, where say the county, specifically rural, don't pay any out of pocket to be able to fund that said grant, right? So that's kind of my knowledge pertaining to how that works. So yes, the procurement would be for those services, right? That would maybe be a design, may not be a design. There's probably gonna be some type of a design in anything structural that needs to be done. If you need an awning to cover sidewalks, right, for kids where you have a longer covering where buses pull up and kids don't stand in the rain. Somebody's gonna have to measure that out. May not be a complicated design. How tall is it? How wide is it? What is it made of? There's a specification, right? And then you say, okay, we need X number of dollars that meet the specification to do this build. Or maybe we have some drainage issues at one of the schools. Okay, well, we need pipe to be put here. We need inlets here. We're gonna run this far. There's a design. And then there's the build, right? And somebody verify that this has been designed and built accordingly. So, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Right. Sure. Remember, my brain is Florida statutes, okay? You got professional services, you've got contractual services, it's two different things, okay? What I'm hearing is professional services, but I think the best thing, if there's some kind of scope of work that has already been given to Heather, which I'm not, I think she's got to look at it, because it sounded to me like she has got it, but she doesn't, it's not really clear. And I think maybe Heather, can this happen? You know, tell me if it's possible. Maybe Heather and Mason sit down, because what I'm hearing is a bigger broadband than what I was thinking. We were just going to do a scope of work, professional services for an engineering firm, which they offer services to write grants, to go and look for, maybe if there's money out there to use in capital improvement, to use in, I don't know, y'all throw something out here. Man, throw something out. You know, grants that are available, somebody that is well versed in knowing how to look for grants, things like that. We have people to do that, to try to take some of the load off of our people that are out there searching for these grants. And I'll go back, I don't know how long-lived grants will be with our administration right now, but, that's what I was hearing in the beginning. Now I'm hearing something totally different, Mason. Because if we're looking at a full-scale architect, engineer, you know, to write, I go back to, we have kind of that already in the contract that we have with Culpeper, correct?
Culpeper's a builder.
Yeah.
They are,
they're-
but there's architects
They
involved.
can contract it out.
Yeah, they
and
can
they're-
contract that out. But what I had heard, see, and I'm just now like, I don't wanna step into something, overdo something. Because again, I really thought we were just trying to get a grant writer.
100%. That's
That's what I was understanding, that we was going to have one person, have their salaries paid, and it doesn't look great. I don't.
By the grant, by the
Yeah,
administrative fee
by the-
provided by the grant, right?
Well,
That's what
yeah,
I.
I mean, I
that's-
understand what you're saying now.
Right.
That's what I'm understanding you say now, we want to be a firm or an entity to search for these grants and pay for themselves on different
Right.
scope.
And then they could work with, say, right now, Culpeper's contracted for building. So if there's an engineering component of something that needs to be, we got a builder, right? If there's a design component, well, if we contract with somebody that's going to write grants to help us get funding, they can help with the design component, right? To be paid for by grants. You have a builder contracting. This helps complete the idea of, okay, we have something that needs to be accomplished. We got somebody that can build it. We have somebody that can design it and give us funding to help pay for it. So it kind of completes all this scope and pulls it into one where for capital improvements per se, we can say, well, we have a lot of things that need to be done. Let's look for grants to pay for those capital
Do you
improvements.
know of a district that has that type of contract. I'm not about reinventing the wheel, I can tell you that. Does Leon County have it?
I don't know if Leon.
It's real easy to find. It's gonna be on on the BBS, I can tell you, because that's where they advertise all their, and on their website. Or we can place phone call. I would love to see somebody else that's done this.
Saying
Instead of,
we need to deal with multiple people,
No,
No.
a company,
one,
it'd be
one company.
one company, no, normally a person is the
You're
entity.
talking about the
Officer
officer
and corporation.
and
No, we're talking about a company, and we say, hey, find us money to do anything and everything you can for the school district. Go find it, right? And in this case, if it's an engineering company, because they are in the world of construction and writing grants, find us money, see where you can find it, let's make something happen to pay for whatever we want in the district. Whatever's out there, get it, bring it in, and let's make improvements.
well,
That's the idea.
we may run into is a lot of these companies won't contract unless they're guaranteed, they're not just gonna sit there and be, oh, well, just because I got a contract with the Lee County District, school district, they're gonna want something. Companies want something. So if there is no money to go be found, or if there is no projects that we need done, are they just sitting there on a contract to be called upon request? It's a little bit more, I mean, maybe we need to sit down and have a workshop on this thing, guys, because I'm very confused right now. I am like, really.
Here's what I would suggest. Mason, I appreciate what you're wanting to do, and I told you that if it was something, I'm okay with people trying to find money on our behalf. I think the board would agree, as long as we don't have to, if we're not adding a salary to the payroll. That was my thing. I didn't want to put anybody else in payroll. So I told you that, and I'm gonna stand by that.
Yeah.
If possibly, if you and Heather, if you could get with her and y'all tweak that to where she understands it and it's more of your vision for that. Cause you shared your vision with me, and I was like, well, here, send me the thing. So he sent me a sample RFP for what you'd be doing. And so I think it needs tweaking, and what I would do is we can do a workshop, bring it back.
Okay.
And let's talk about all the ins and outs of
He's
it.
on board with that. And that's what I'm here.
Yeah.
Enhancing everything, but I gotta understand the scope of work. I'm just not clear on the scope of work yet.
And then that way, at the workshop, we can explain that, cause it's a pretty detailed RFP that he provided me and that we got to Heather. It's pretty extensive. So we'll have that as a draft form and just pass it out, look at it, talk about it. No action, and then
And
go from there.
in more simple terms, so thank you for that. So the idea is, go find us money. If there's a design element, design it. We already have a contract for somebody to build it, go build it. Paid for 100% by the grant. If there's money out there, let somebody look. And it's a win for the person that would be contracted because they get an admin fee off of it. They can find something. It's a win for us because we're not paying anything to them because they're paid for by a grant, right? And they're being an improvement to the school.
Hold, just a minute. Now let me say this.
Okay.
You may pay that vendor, let's keep this in mind, and I'm all about, let's begin to get this thing to a scope of work to a workshop.
I agree.
Let me say this, and I'll go defend Katie on this one. They may get the administrative fee. But that office right there is gonna have to process those payments. And that is one thing I will stand up and I will fight for them 24/7, because people don't understand that grease is greasing that wheel. So let's be very cognitive of that.
That's a great point.
Because there may be there may just be a 5% administrative fee. Some grants are different, different grants. But if it touches in any way our offices here, then we should get some money.
It ain't
You
just
exactly
the
right.
finance, because we're gonna have to oversee
We're gonna, you guys have a contract.
It affects,
Manager,
it.
it's gonna be paid.
it affects about everybody at the table.
Make sure what the maintaining bill is gonna be for the next
That's
20 years.
what
Right.
Like the sidewalks in Liberty County that was all paid for. Yeah, they were paid for. it.
Correct.
And it's great to have them, but now the county's got to keep them maintained.
That's right.
Every year, after year,
We
get the knife.
We've really gotta take a long-term glance at this thing, because it's bigger than just going and paying an engineer.
But you can put administrative fees in there for the school, then it's worth it.
Yeah, but
Yes.
again, that vendor's not gonna sign a contract that just puts them on notice just to go look for grant. They gonna want something.
No.
So let's be very
always.
cautious of this thing going in and look at the
Want something?
big scope going in. Okay,
That's exactly where I'm coming from. And I'm glad you said that, because in the contract, it would say, listen, if there's paperwork and documentation or whatever that needs to be completed, that contractor will complete it, and there'll be a nice, beautiful packet that will be handed to finance saying, we need you to cut a check for this, review it, make sure you're good with it, we sign off on it, we're okay with it, you just cut the check, money will be reimbursed or advanced or whatever it may be. In other words, I don't know what all's out there, I don't. But I think if we have the right system and tools available, more can come to us.
well,
And that's,
I'll tell you another thing we will do, we've done it before. We could do a request for information and have these companies come in and do a demo.
Tell us what.
Tell us what you can do, and that will help, and if they do that, that'll help us build our solicitation, we can get a better scope of work, or kind of understand it more, you know, and we'll have a better stance on building a really good, solid scope of work on what we want. We'll be able to ask them questions, I'm just throwing that out there, that is out there to do. Heather's away.
Like RFQ, request for qualifications.
Yeah, well, the request for qualifications is actually the solicitation.
right.
If we do a request for information,
Gotcha.
again, it's been years since I've been actually 7 years now.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can get with Heather and say, well, here's what's our avenues on good
Gotcha.
activity. And those would be good avenues for Katie to come in and say, how's this gonna work with payment? And, who's gonna be the contract manager over this thing too? If it would have to be maintenance, then that's another job to do. So
I would like to add to, and I'm all about saving money or finding money, whatever, okay, so hear me when I say that. But our capital dollars, our local capital improvement, the 370 funds, that, it's just because if we save that money, we can't use that in general fund or whatever, that's specific for the capital improvements and stuff, right, Kevin, so I don't really, not saying there's something out there, but I thought we got the money to do what we need to do, so I'm really not quite sure where we're not.
I think, Katie, really honestly, what I'm hearing, again, we could do a workshop, we could kind of figure this out. What I'm hearing is projects that we kind of said, we don't have, we got the money sitting there right now. Projects that we would really like to see done.
Well, Ms. Katie, like, just so much instance real quick, high school, we cut out the covered walk for the bus loop. We cut out all the covered areas for the dining. There's a grant for that, get kids out the sun, but everything going on with the sun, I think that's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes, that is still 370 money,
Right.
but it's subsidized, we can put it in 370 spend it that way, as long as we, as me and you. Well, and we don't have to put it in
All of Ricky's
We don't have to
safety
do it.
stuff, all this big money stuff that he's wanting done, that we ain't gonna get done with, this $920,000 we're getting. That's the kind of stuff, I think it's more of us sitting down and looking at 5-10 years out, where,
Correct.
and there's money out there, especially when you quote safety, I'm sure.
And even covered areas for kids now.
Absolutely.
What she's worried about is that 370 money is so
Specific.
much restrictions,
Yes.
specific on it,
Yes.
and we might generate its own account. You might can do that, depending on what grants.
Yeah, this is bigger, this is broader than just what we got right now. So, and it would be great if we could find some money, I'm sure, but I just wanna make sure we're all covered when we go into this type of thing, because people don't realize what the impact is to our workforce. The more money you get, the more work you gotta do,
I get it, 100%.
We already get
I mean, you look at the grant wise, I mean, everything from nutrition to just any part of it, there's grants and they're already being attained. I don't know. I don't know if we can get a grant for a new maintenance truck or something like that. I mean, I don't know, but there's a need to look into it, but
It's just a lot of work on the back end, and that's the only thing, I mean. The agencies that I work for were probably 75–85% grant funded. And it's a lot of work, when you got grants, it's a lot.
we do have a lot of grants going in.
Yeah, I know,
To tell you,
see what I'm saying, so.
I'm not trying to take away from all the good that's already
No.
been done. I appreciate everybody. I really do. The idea is to try to use another direction and viewpoint to acquire more of a benefit for the county.
You think there's more out there?
I do. Now, can I prove it? No. Do I know where? No.
Well,
But
there's
I
always
know.
more somewhere, somehow. There
That's
is.
right.
There's a, I'm saying about $5, I mean, is it worth $10 to chase $5?
And is it?
That's what I think we're getting at, some of the pay deal is that.
I would really like.
I think the workshop would be best to.
Yeah.
We make that happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm happy to talk to Heather and kind of try to figure out on the paper, right, this is kind of what I'm thinking, y'all read through it, talk through it in the workshop, and then go from there, but I do think there's a benefit to it.
Why don't y'all why don't you kind of come up with a draft? And then, when y'all get it, say, this is what I'd like to talk about, and then we come in here and then
Everybody
we.
on board with that?
I'm all for it, but that's true.
Okay,
Go for it.
I'll talk about it.
Okay, awesome.
All right, I had two things, and I'm sorry, too much time. All right, so I'm sitting, I do some thinking because I have some windshield time. And I did a little bit of talking about it, and I don't know where we can go with this. And, Miss Mandy might tell me I need to tighten up and get straight here. Is there any location or school that offers specifically a class that the school can receive funding for that focuses solely on the ACT and SAT? So if you get to high school, kids could say, I want to take AC. I know that in different courses and classes, they do prep work, right? The curriculums and instructions are supposed to overlap, right? But is there a class that we could implement to focus solely on the SAT and ACT scores? Because if there is, and we could have a curriculum of that nature, it could be a huge financial opportunity for graduates that are going to college and trade if their ACT scores or SAT can hit a certain mark. And if we could focus on that, kind of like, okay, we have welding and building construction to help to the next step of going to the vocational, right? This would maybe enhance the ability of students to increase their scores for scholarships. So is that something that is out there? Could that be just planning in the future, a curriculum adjustment where kids could say, I want to take an ACT prep class all 4 years of high school until I hit my ACT score that I want, and then not take it anymore?
So Eric, I'm gonna look over at you. How much wiggle room do you have in your schedule with your existing personnel that could put in? I'll be transparent. We had that when I was in high school. We had an ACT prep class. It was under the course code number for research.
Yeah, generally.
And it was, I think we wound up watching football videos, great football games, but we had something called that.
Yeah.
Do you have wiggle room in your schedule? And I'm really putting you on the
No,
spot.
you're okay. So as I'm going listening to this, not only do I have to have a teacher do it, I have to have a pretty good teacher I'm talking to.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
And when I'm looking at that, if I've got a really good teacher I'm talking about, then I need them over here in these tested areas just because of my school grade. So I can't just stick Joe Smith over here and do it. Yeah, I could. How much are we gonna get out of this? So because basically I've got to put some teachers not very good out of high places, right? And so I need my best teacher in my areas. Y'all know that. It's everybody know. So I need my best teachers in those tested areas. So, and I'd like a few more better teachers in those tested areas working on it right now. So could I make it happen? Sure, I can make it happen, not 6 periods a day, but I'd like to pull a period or two out and do something. but I gotta have a teacher that can do it.
And I know the guy, so one thing we do, we do the testing on site now. I think we're doing ACT and SAT.
Computer based.
But there are ACTs, and when all my kids did it, they're computer based. If ACT, SAT preparatory online stuff that has all the test prep. You know, if the students really want to move that score or move that needle, those who do that tend to do really well. But the parent paper, you know, it's $39.95, $50 or something like that, and then they do it for easy. You know, because they can take those things individually and say, this month, this next test, and say, I'm gonna work on math. I'm gonna try to get my math score up, and then they can go individually, because it winds up being a kind of a cumulative score, I think.
Well, what would you put that under the class, an elective?
You just do it.
Yeah, it'd been elected.
Yeah, elective research, you put anything in research.
We call it research, which, you know,
I
don't
know, we get stuff.
probably was that.
Let me ask you a question. When you were in school, Kyle, I mean, I'm there are ways, what were the results? So what I'm hearing is, if we have that and we start that back up, how are we gonna
If
see?
I'm honest, I don't know that we did a lot of,
Football.
Y'all,
I probably watched more football
40 years ago.
grading football films than I did anything. It wound up being just kind of
He was
a.
young as he used to be. I mean, he's a young fella. He was young as he used to be. That was a minute.
I'm younger than Doobie and Jody. But anyway, so here's the deal. You could do that. I don't know what result.
Yes,
I don't know.
Is it worth the bang? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've incorporated it, like when I taught 10th grade English, I would incorporate that into my actual English curriculum. If I had to teach just that, I would probably die of boredom. I mean, it would be just straight test prep. So answer your question, if a kid is motivated, I think they could, I mean, we have the resources now.
They can do it in their lab now, if
Yes,
they wanted to.
yes.
What lab?
They got lab.
We've got lab time.
If you have a lab, you have to push for the lab, right?
But none of those courses take the whole period,
Right.
most of those kids sitting practice.
Okay, I know what you're at. There's not an ACT course code class. It usually gonna fall under something like what we'll call research, which you can make that anything. That can be anything. So there's no ACT course code number.
So
Like if I go in and look for Khan Academy, because we've got Khan Academy free through the state. If I go in and look, I can see that there's a lot of things that have been done in ACT, SAT prep with Khan Academy. They're really good. It's one of the, I mean, if I had to pay for something, I would pay for that. I can see that they're doing it, and it's mostly those kids who are in the intensive reading class with Becky. She's using it.
She uses
it very well.
Yeah.
All the kids have access to that, whether their core teachers are
Yeah.
using it or not. I mean, it's a good resource. And as far as like a research class, I would have it as a part of it, but I don't know if it would take enough time to eat all of it, if that
So
makes sense.
here's my thought, and
Even if it were
this
good.
is a high level view that I wanted, and I think I've talked way too much. I'm sure everybody's ready to go home. But my thought is, when I was 16 and 17 and I was taking the ACT, I really didn't care about my score, right? I was fortunate enough that I did all right, not caring too much. If you're 16, 17 now, you go get a bachelor's degree, you get a 30-year federal loan, and you owe $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in federal loan, right? And you could have had 75% or 100% of that paid for because of an ACT score that a kid really isn't focused on. I think that could be a huge service to a student. And some students, they need an instructor saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to teach this. We're going to do this, instead of just giving free time. That's kind of my thought. I don't expect this to be a tomorrow thing. And obviously it will be a board decision for curriculum adjustments, right? I'm just bringing it to the board to say, do we want to think on this and say, would it be a benefit to have a specific ACT preparation course to help kids with scholarships in the long run to help them financially? Just something to think on. You know, maybe we can address it later. Maybe we can think on the admin side. Is it feasible? Just a high level thought is why I'm bringing it up. I think it could be a benefit for the students for their lives. I mean, you're talking about a student loan payment for 30 years that some people are going to make, that they might not have to make if they have 3 points higher on the ACT. That's just my thought. All right, I have like 7 more things, so I'm gonna continue. No, I'm just kidding. So high level, the strategic plan I know is up. I have received, just like I'm thinking all of the board members, calls for months about opinions and thoughts, policies, procedures, handbooks, direction. I wonder when the strategic plan comes up, could it be a good idea to have a thought or a workshop to say, hey, I'm having these parents ask about these policies or these procedures. Could it be a good time for us to brainstorm and bring our thoughts together to say, hey, this is what I'm hearing from the community. Parents would like these adjustments. Is this something we could adjust, should adjust? Would there be a need for a workshop to discuss that at the same time, maybe as the strategic plan that's coming up? That's just a thought for you. I'll leave it at that high level. Could it be, what are we looking to accomplish in the future? What are our goals, our plans? What do we want for teachers, for personnel, for students? And will policies, procedures, handbooks help realign that? Is there anything that we need to talk about that the community is maybe bringing to us as board members? I think it could be an opportune time maybe to discuss that. I'm open for it personally. I'm gonna close out my time saying I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for all you do, and that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Jody.
Congratulations, Kyle, official grandfather and granddaddy status. Papa, are you Papa? We know
I
yet?
think, I'm not 100% sure, but that's where we're going.
Okay, Kate, thank you for that report. I am going to formally request that we do a workshop.
Okay.
And let's start sitting down and look at some of this stuff, just to see we're on track, give us kind of a heads up and a workshop of where we're at. I know you have projections and things like that, so maybe go over the report, kind of give everybody a kind of overview of it. On the health insurance RFP that we did, yeah, we have a year. I would like within a couple of months for us to start looking at that document again. If we are gonna possibly start talking about going to another avenue, I think we need to start looking at that now. Because it does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And legal's gotta look, I would really, really recommend Heather look at this RFP.
Okay.
If we decide to do this again.
Okay.
Of course, in our attorney, your attorney, our attorney, everybody,
Sure.
and they cross off, yeah. That is it. Thank y'all. Happy New Year and, God bless. You're doing it.
Thank you, everybody, for the job they do. Thank you, okay? They did a good job. Thank everybody else too. Congratulations, Pop.
Yes.
Jason?
I'm good. Everybody's antsy, so I'm good.
Good way to speak.
I had a lot.
Y'all been moving, you got it anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna put truck with it.
Now you gotta fix up.
Yeah.
I will say this, I've been on board for a while and Kate, good job because in years past, we have not had this left our head. Where we're at by now, we've passed some hiccups all the way. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate all that. Congratulations to you, Kyle. I know you're gonna have 25 more, but this first one.
I'll bring them on.
It's about right.
Big five.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
He's closing comments, done. Need a motion adjourned?
Thank you.
Motion made.
Second.
Jody? Very loud.